She was secretly dating both her bosses. But what happened at the office party left everyone speechless. When two powerful men discover they've been secretly dating the same woman at work, one office party turns into a night no one will ever forget. It all began months before that night, long before the glittering lights, the music, and the whispered gasps that would echo across the ballroom. Back then, Claire Thompson was just another senior account manager trying to make her mark in Manhattan's most competitive marketing firm. The glass building on Madison Avenue gleamed like a monument to ambition, and Claire fit perfectly into its reflection: sharp suits, calm confidence, and a work ethic that drew attention from the top. Ethan Reynolds, the co-founder, noticed her first. He had that kind of presence, a man who filled every room without saying a word. He was all charm and power, the kind of leader who made people feel lucky just to be seen by him. Then there was Daniel Holt, the company's other co-founder, quieter, thoughtful, almost too genuine for corporate politics. Claire worked closely with both, and it didn't take long before compliments turned to late-night messages. Late nights turned to after-hours meetings. And soon, the lines between work and something else began to blur, dangerously so. Still, nobody suspected a thing. Not her coworkers, not her friends. To everyone else, Claire was flawless, efficient, composed, and loyal. But under the surface, something was shifting. Every smile in the hallway felt heavier. Every project meeting lingered longer than it should. Every word between the three of them seemed to carry a hidden meaning. And when the company announced its winter gala, a night meant to celebrate success, Claire's stomach twisted. Because deep down, she knew success wasn't the only thing that might be revealed that night. The winter gala shimmered like a dream wrapped in champagne and city lights. The entire Reynolds and Holt team filled the ballroom of the Lexington Grand, a skyline view glittering through floor-to-ceiling windows. The orchestra played soft jazz, laughter floated through the air, and waiters glided by with silver trays that never seemed to empty. Claire arrived fashionably late, wrapped in a silver gown that caught the light with every step. Heads turned as she walked in. They always did, but tonight, she felt those glances differently. She wasn't sure if it was pride or guilt heating her cheeks. Claire, Hannah from PR waved her over, already on her second glass of champagne. You look incredible. If this were a contest, you'd win by a landslide. Claire smiled, tucking a loose strand of hair behind her ear. You're sweet. Have you seen the partners yet? Hannah grinned. Ethan's over there charming the investors. And Daniel's, of course, talking to the press like he invented humility. You're lucky. Two bosses who actually make suits look good. Yeah, Claire murmured, her gaze flicking across the room. Lucky. Her eyes found Ethan first. He stood near the bar, tall and magnetic, surrounded by a group of executives. He caught her glance and held it for just a beat too long before turning away, the kind of silent acknowledgement that sent a current through her spine. Across the room, Daniel was shaking hands, warm and approachable, the opposite energy but equally captivating. When he spotted her, he smiled, a soft, private smile that made her pulse jump. Two men, two glances, one secret pressing against her ribs. And just as she reached for a drink to steady herself, a voice came from behind her, low, familiar, and dangerously close. Didn't think I'd see you here so soon, Claire. Her hand froze. The night had just begun, and already, her balance was slipping. Claire turned, her pulse stuttering. Ethan stood behind her, holding two glasses of champagne, that half-smile he wore when he wanted something. His tuxedo was cut perfectly, his confidence almost predatory in its calm. I figured you might need this, he said, offering her the glass. His voice was smooth, low, and just loud enough to drown out the hum of the orchestra. She forced a smile, taking it. You figured right. It's a big night. Big night for the company, he replied, eyes locked on hers. And for you. For a second, the room shrank around them. The clinking glasses, the laughter, the cameras, all faded into a single pulse between them. She wanted to say something light, something safe, but her throat tightened. Ethan's gaze lingered too long, his hand brushing against hers as he set his glass down. It was subtle, but not subtle enough. Claire, Daniel's voice, calm, warm, steady, broke through the air like a lifeline. He was walking toward them, smiling, unaware. Claire stepped back, her heart thudding. Ethan's jaw tensed almost imperceptibly before his mask slipped back into charm. Daniel, Ethan said easily, shaking his hand. You clean up well. Daniel chuckled. Well, when you're sharing a room with you, one has to try. Claire exhaled softly, but her fingers trembled around the stem of her glass. Daniel turned to her. Can I steal her for a moment? Ethan's smile was polite, but his eyes weren't. By all means. As Daniel led her toward the dance floor, Claire could feel Ethan's gaze burning through the crowd. Every step she took felt heavier, every beat of the music sharper. Two men, both watching, neither knowing. And for the first time, she wondered how much longer she could keep the world she'd built from colliding. The band shifted into a slower rhythm, a rich saxophone pouring over the room like velvet. Daniel guided Claire onto the dance floor, his hand firm at the small of her back. You've been quiet tonight, he murmured, his voice barely audible over the music. Everything okay? Claire managed a faint smile. Just a lot of faces, a lot of pressure. Pressure. He tilted his head, studying her. You thrive under pressure. She laughed softly, but it didn't reach her eyes. Her mind was still at the bar, where Ethan stood. Even through the crowd, she could feel him, watching, measuring. Daniel's thumb brushed her wrist. You're shaking. Cold, she lied. Across the ballroom, Ethan pretended to listen to a client, but his attention never left them. The way Daniel's hand lingered on her waist, the softness in her smile. Something in his chest twisted, the kind of intuition that didn't need proof to feel true. The song faded, applause rippled. Daniel leaned close, whispering, Don't disappear, okay? I've got a surprise for you later. Claire nodded, trying to steady her breathing as he walked away. She didn't notice Ethan until he was suddenly beside her. Nice dance, he said quietly, too calm. Didn't know Holt had rhythm. Her pulse skipped. It was just a dance, Ethan. Sure, he said, his gaze cutting through her. Just a dance. Before she could answer, someone from HR interrupted, dragging him toward a group photo. He left with a smile that didn't touch his eyes. Claire stood frozen in the glittering crowd, heart racing. She'd thought she could manage both worlds, keep them parallel, clean. But as the night wore on, she began to realize parallel lines eventually meet. By the time dessert was served, the ballroom felt smaller. The laughter was louder, the champagne sweeter, and yet every sound seemed to echo against Claire's nerves. She smiled when she needed to, nodded through conversations she didn't hear, and kept her eyes anywhere but where they wanted to wander. From across the table, Ethan looked collected, joking with clients as if nothing in the world could rattle him. But when their eyes met for the briefest second, she saw it, the flicker of something darker. Suspicion. Daniel, meanwhile, was in his element. He'd just announced a new partnership on stage, earning applause that filled the room. When he stepped down, he bent to whisper something to Claire that made nearby coworkers chuckle. His hand lingered a moment too long on her shoulder. Warm, familiar, dangerously visible. Out of the corner of her eye, she caught Ethan watching. His expression didn't change, but his knuckles tightened around his glass. Everything all right? Hannah from PR asked beside her. You look like you've seen a ghost. Just tired, Claire said, forcing a laugh. Long week. Hannah smirked. Well, your favorite boss seems to think otherwise. He hasn't taken his eyes off you. Claire's stomach turned. Which one? Hannah blinked. Which one? There's more than. Claire cut her off with a sharp laugh. Kidding. Just kidding. But her laugh cracked halfway through. Then Daniel rose, tapping his glass for attention. If I can steal a few minutes of the room's time, he said, smiling toward Claire. I've got a little surprise. Ethan's gaze snapped up, and in that instant, the air around her went thin, like glass about to shatter. The microphone squealed once before the sound tech steadied it. Daniel stood center stage, sleeves rolled up, smile easy. The skyline shimmered behind him through the glass wall, 1,000 city lights winking like spectators. Tonight isn't just about numbers, he began. It's about the people who make them possible. Laughter, applause. He paused, scanning the crowd until his eyes landed on Claire. Some of you go above and beyond in ways that can't be measured on any chart. Claire's heart slammed once. Everyone turned toward her. The light from the chandeliers caught the edge of her dress like a spotlight. Daniel went on, voice warm. When a company grows, it's because someone cares enough to give everything they've got. Thompson, Thank you for being that person this year. A ripple of cheers rolled through the room. Claire managed a small smile as co-workers clapped her back. But across the tables, Ethan's glass remained untouched. His jaw flexed once, twice, before he forced a grin for the crowd. Daniel raised his champagne. To Claire, and to all of us. May the next year be brighter still. Glasses clinked. Flashbulbs popped. The room glowed with celebration. But as Daniel stepped off the stage and headed her way, Claire felt her pulse sprint. Ethan intercepted him halfway, his handshake firm, his voice smooth enough to fool everyone but her. Great speech, he said. Didn't know we were doing individual tributes. Daniel chuckled, unaware of the undercurrent. Sometimes good work deserves it. Their hands released, too slowly. The air between them hummed. From across the room, Claire watched the exchange, her smile frozen in place. She could feel the first fault line forming, the faint tremor before the quake. Dinner plates were cleared, the band slipped into an upbeat rhythm, and the ballroom softened under amber light. People began to loosen their ties and laugh louder, the kind of laughter that came with too much champagne and a little too much success. Claire stood near the terrace doors, pretending to check her phone. The city stretched below, glittering, endless, indifferent. Behind her, she heard Ethan's voice, calm but close. You didn't tell me Holt was planning a speech. She turned slowly. I didn't know. He studied her, unreadable. He thanked you like you saved the company. She forced a small laugh. Maybe I did. For a beat, neither spoke. Then Ethan leaned in slightly, his tone low. Careful, Claire. Attention like that comes with questions. Before she could reply, Daniel appeared at her side, holding 2 glasses. There you are, he said, his warmth cutting through the tension. Thought I'd lost you to the investors. He handed her a drink, his fingers brushing hers. Ethan's eyes followed the touch. Looks like you're popular tonight. Daniel smiled, missing the edge in his voice. She deserves it. Sure, Ethan said, raising his glass. She always gets what she deserves. Claire's stomach tightened. Gentlemen. A photographer called out from the dance floor. Partners and senior staff, quick photo. Daniel placed a hand on her back. Come on. Ethan's gaze lingered a moment longer before he followed. The 3 of them stood shoulder to shoulder as flashes went off, each smile slightly forced, each heartbeat a little faster. When the camera clicked one last time, Ethan leaned toward her, his whisper almost lost under the music. We should talk. Alone. The terrace doors groaned open and the cool night spilled in. Outside, the city hummed, a low electric sound beneath the music drifting from inside. Claire followed Ethan out, her heels clicking against the stone. He didn't speak until the door closed behind them, sealing the 2 of them off from the laughter and brass. Nice speech, he said finally. His tone was easy, but the set of his shoulders wasn't. Daniel just wanted to thank the team, she answered, eyes fixed on the skyline. Ethan gave a quiet laugh. The team, right. He took a step closer. You really think I don't see it? She turned. See what? He didn't raise his voice. That made it worse. The way he looks at you. The way you look back. Tell me I'm imagining it. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. Inside the ballroom, someone cheered, glasses clinked. Out here, there was only wind. Ethan. He shook his head, jaw tight. You don't lie well. You never did. Claire swallowed hard. This isn't the place. Then where? He asked, voice sharper now. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like the woman he stopped himself, fists closing. Forget it. The door behind them burst open. Daniel stepped out, smiling, oblivious to the tension that hung between them. There you are? They're starting the raffle. He paused when he saw Ethan. Everything all right? Perfect, Ethan said smoothly, slipping the mask back on. We were just talking business. Daniel nodded, though confusion flickered in his eyes. Well, don't talk too long. You'll miss the fun. He disappeared again, leaving the door cracked open and the music bleeding through. Ethan looked back at her once more. Business, he repeated quietly. That's what we'll call it now. Back inside, the music had turned bold and brassy. Champagne shimmered in every glass. Laughter rose in bursts. Claire followed a few steps behind Ethan, trying to steady her breath, trying to blend back into the crowd. But something inside her already knew it was over. At the center of the room, Daniel was finishing another conversation with a journalist. When he saw her, his face lit up, open and unguarded. There you are, he said. Come join us for a picture. His arm slipped easily around her waist. Ethan was only a few paces away. He froze. The sight hit him harder than he expected. Months of half-suspicion sharpened into certainty. The photographer called for everyone to get closer. Ethan stepped in, too close, smiling for the camera. The flash went off. Once, twice. Each burst of light a pulse in the dark. Then Ethan spoke, still smiling. "You two make a great team," he said lightly. "Almost like you've been working late together." The words landed soft, but the tone beneath them sliced. Conversations nearby stuttered. People glanced over. Daniel's smile faltered. "Excuse me." Claire's heart slammed. "Ethan." "No, really," Ethan went on, his voice smooth, public, impossible to stop. "It's nice when colleagues connect. Some connections go deeper than work, don't they?" The room quieted, the music shrinking to background noise. Daniel's brow furrowed as his gaze shifted from Ethan to Claire. "What is he talking about?" She started, but the words tangled. Every face near them was watching now, waiting. Her own reflection in the ballroom's glass wall looked like a stranger. Glittering dress, trembling hands, eyes begging the night to rewind. Daniel stepped back, realization dawning slow and painful. Ethan turned away first, tossing his glass onto a passing tray, the sound of crystal striking metal cutting through the silence. The secret was no longer a secret. The party dissolved faster than anyone expected. Waiters gathered half-empty glasses, the band played softer, and people pretended not to whisper as they left in pairs. Within minutes, the ballroom that had been pulsing with life felt hollow, the floor sticky with spilled champagne and something heavier: embarrassment, pity, disbelief. Claire sat alone at a corner table, the silver folds of her dress puddled around her like spilled light. Daniel had walked out first, saying nothing, only shaking his head once before disappearing through the terrace doors. Ethan followed soon after, expression carved from stone. The silence they left behind was worse than shouting. Outside, the city kept glowing, oblivious. Claire stared at her reflection in the window. Perfect hair, ruined eyes, and wondered when ambition had turned into deceit. All she had ever wanted was to belong in a world that sparkled. She hadn't noticed how easy it was to drown in it. A shadow moved behind her. Daniel stood there again, his tie gone, his face tired. "You should head home," he said quietly. "I never meant for it to go this far," she whispered. "I thought I could keep everything separate." He looked at her for a long time. "That's the thing about secrets," he said. "They don't stay in their boxes." She nodded, tears smudging her mascara. "I'm sorry." He didn't answer right away. Then, softer, "So am I." He turned and walked toward the elevators. When he was gone, Claire gathered her clutch, her phone, the remnants of the life she'd built between two truths. The city outside was still bright, but for the first time in months, she didn't mistake the lights for warmth. As the elevator doors closed, she exhaled, a shaky breath that sounded almost like relief. The lies were over. What came next, she didn't know, but the silence felt honest.